Hello and welcome to The Pulse. Just 2 days before Sunday's election of the 1,200-member Chief Executive Election Committee, Chief Executive Leung Chung-ying has announced he will not run for a second term. Mr. Leung cited family reasons for his decision. To put it mildly, this announcement came as a surprise. The central government's Liaison office in Hong Kong said in a statement on Friday afternoon that it fully understands and respects the decision and expressed its deep regret. Mr. Leung, nicknamed 689 for the number of votes he received when he was appointed to office, has proved to be the most divisive and controversial of Hong Kong's 3 chief executives. Under his watch, divisions in Hong Kong have clearly increased. But what comes next? So far, only one prominent figure has declared a definite interest in running for the post, and he is retired Judge Woo Kwok-hing. But it seems highly likely that the chair of the New People's Party, Regina, will also announce her candidacy next Thursday.
今日請大家過嚟嘅原因呢，就係想通過傳媒朋友嘅報導，向香港市民宣佈，我唔會參加，不會參加下一屆行政長官嘅選舉。個原因呢，就係我必須喺嚟緊一段時間裏邊呢，照顧好家庭。我對社會未來幾年嘅責任同埋對家庭嘅責任之間呢，我必須作出一個負責任嘅選擇。如果我參選下一屆嘅行政長官呢，恐怕喺嚟緊呢幾個月嘅時間裏邊，我嘅家人因為我嘅選舉工程呢，會承受一啲佢哋不能夠承受嘅壓力。中央一直十分支持我工作。據我理解呢，國務院港澳辦呢喺一息間呢就會發一個書面嘅新聞稿。中央對我工作呢係一直都係充分肯定同埋高度評價嘅。
咁我好尊重佢嘅決定。過去嗰4年，佢亦都不辭勞苦咧，係盡量為香港人做嘢。特別土地房屋方面咧，有目共睹，梁生做咗好大努力嘅。所以對於佢表示唔尋求連任咧，我都係覺得可惜。
我哋亦都尊重佢作呢個決定。我哋知悉咧，佢係因為家庭嘅緣故咧而作出呢個艱難嘅決定。對於佢任內嘅努力咧，我哋係充分肯定嘅。過去一段長時間啦，我哋民建聯唔同嘅成員以至無論係作為立法會議員同埋區議員嘅身份呢，都係同特區政府啦，包括行政長官咧喺唔同政策上係充分交流意見。咁我哋對於佢過去嘅努力咧係肯定。咁特別係佢喺扶貧啦、揾地建屋、希望解決房屋問題方面嘅努力咧，係表示咧係肯定嘅。
我覺得佢其實可以爭取連任嘅，咁但係喺佢自己嘅個人理由之下，佢係放棄咗呢個機會咧。咁我相信都係可惜嘅。
I describe today as a very happy day for me because without him running for the election, Hong Kong will be less divided. And if I would like to carry out political reform, the reopening of political reform, people will be less divided than now.
In the studio with us, party leader of the Civic Party, Alvin Yeung, legislator Paul Chair, and political commentator Chris Yeung. Paul Chair, can I come to you as someone who, I think it's right to say, is increasingly seen in a leadership role in the pro-government camp? Are you buying the story that CY Leung is purely resigning for personal reasons?
Well, obviously, it's just like Dong Jiu-ha before, the lake problem. Obviously, people have different thoughts about the real reason. But certainly one of the reasons that may be bothering him is, of course, his family affairs. That may be one of it. But more importantly, as we can see in the past few weeks, CY has been very actively pursuing the re-election. So chances are there must be some reason, more than simply his family reason, that he said he would step down.
You don't think it's really simple and that he was told by the central government they didn't want him to run?
Well, I can't really tell, but at the moment I thought perhaps that we know as a fact that Beijing perhaps wants to keep the sort of the line that we've been pursuing all these months, sort of relatively hard line. But whether it's CY or somebody else, we're still guessing before today, of course.
And I want to ask the other, but just very quickly, I mean, were you, before he announced his intention not to run, inclined to support his campaign?
Maybe I'm a bit undecided at the moment, even before he announced his resignation, of course. But we just have to see whoever else might be coming up before we decide. That's my stance anyway.
Well, Alvin Young, let me ask you. I mean, are you totally convinced this is a matter of his personal reasons for resigning?
Well,
or not resigning, for not contesting the election again?
I would not get into the details. We have got rumors suggesting that one of his family members has been sick, and I think it would be unfair to challenge that. And in fact, we have no evidence to suggest otherwise. But on the other hand, as Paul mentioned earlier, that CY Leung has been actively campaigning for his re-election over the past few weeks, if not months. So it would be quite shocked a lot of people that he make this announcement early today. And I would say from Beijing's point of view, they can foresee and anticipate a favorable result to a lot of anti-CY camp people, including the Democrats. So from Beijing's point of view, they might not want to see any uncertainty or cause any embarrassment. So they would put a stop to CY.
Can I just interrupt you there? Because obviously there's the election committee election on Sunday.
Right.
And the timing of this seems strangely close. How do you think that will impact on that election? Well, of course, because the Democrats were hoping for something like 300 seats.
For a lot of Democrats, and including those from the commercial sector, they campaign against CY. One of the many main platforms is to get rid of this guy, and now this guy is gone. Effectively, Beijing has discouraged a lot of people from casting their vote. But then I have full confidence that Hong Kong people, especially those middle class, after 5 years of CY Leung governance, they know, first, you can't take everything of what this guy said. He can always make a U-turn anytime. On the other hand,
even at this hour.
Well, you never know. It's the CY Leung that we have known for years. Remember that years ago he said he would not run for the CE for N times, and N stands for whatever. And on the other hand, it was only a year or two ago that he said he anticipated to serve for 10 years. So you see.
Well, Christian, can I come to you? I mean, do you think it's now axiomatic that the preference of the central government would now be for John Tsang?
No, I think it's still unclear. We all know that Beijing has set 3 conditions: their trust, support from Hong Kong people, and also, say, governance, experience, and capability. So I think CY still got the trust and from Beijing, but on the rest of the 2, he lost support from Hong Kong people. And there's a high possibility that we don't know the results of the election committee elections, but there's a high possibility that he will not be able to get 601, even with the backing of Beijing. I think Beijing has already made assessment before Sunday elections.
601, we should explain, is the minimum number to get
601
elected,
out of 1,200.
1,200. Yeah.
And so even if Beijing still wants him to serve another term, practically, politically, very difficult to get support both from the election committee and the people of Hong Kong. And thirdly, his governance mix, I would say. He did something perhaps good on issues like poverty, and but overall, his governance record, I think, is maybe more on the negative side, and also his popularity, his political problems makes him almost not possible to govern according to his plan.
There were some suggestions that CY Leung had become a victim of internal politics within the Communist Party in Beijing. Do you see any evidence for that?
Well, to a point that perhaps that becomes a liability. for those who say still want him to serve another term. Over the past 4 years, I'm quite sure that problems of Leung's governance are well understood, fully understood in Beijing. And now they have to make a decision before the Sunday elections.
I'm going to just stop you there. We're going to take a break, but we'll be back right after. Welcome back. Well, inevitably in part one, we've been talking about the decision of the Chief Executive, Leung Chung-ying, not to run for another term in office. Paul Chair, can I ask you, do you see an obvious other candidate at the moment?
If my earlier statement about the line that's going to be taken by the central government is correct, then certainly we expect someone else who is equally hardliner, but perhaps with less baggage to carry on this line.
Who would that be?
And that will obviously be Carrie Lam.
She has definitively, apparently denied that she's interested.
Yes, like Alvin said before, I mean, even if someone has announced that he's not to run for end terms, still things can happen. This is Hong Kong, and we all know that in reality, now that CY is out of the picture, out of the race, then the obstacle for Carrie Lam to rejoin the race would be
would she be a good candidate in your view?
Well, first off, she's number 2 at the moment, and she has always been regarded as a good fighter, and as we've seen in the past few years, she has very sort of obediently carried the line of Beijing on every occasion when loyalty is called for. So I would have thought perhaps if what Chris said earlier about the trust, in fact, I would say, like buying properties, it's always location, location, location. And as far as Hong Kong City is concerned, it's always trust, trust, trust. The 3 factors actually are trust, trust, trust.
Would she have the trust of the people of Hong Kong? I mean, she may have it of the central government.
She did have a large degree of that before, even though she might have lost a bit of that of late. But still, I think she can recover from it quite quickly.
Well, let me ask you, Alvin Yeung. I mean, the Democrats, as I understand it, have not been suggesting running a candidate, a pro-Democrat candidate.
That's correct for now.
For now?
Yeah.
Does this change things?
Well, I don't think so for now. Of course, anything could happen, and no one anticipated that CY Leung would have announced that they would not contest for the re-election. But up to this very moment, I gather that none of our allies is interested to participate in the race. So I would still call for our electors to cast their votes on Sunday to show force. Because at the end of the day, whether we have a candidate or not, we have to show Beijing that we have a strong reservations on those hardliners.
And how would that be expressed? I mean, do you think that in the end, the Democrats wouldn't cast the vote when it, I mean, members of the election committee who are Democrats wouldn't cast a vote when it came to the election?
I think that is only the last resort for the election committee members for not casting a vote in March next year. I would still say we'll try our very best to make sure that the worst candidate will be out. And who would that be? I have no idea at the moment. But then we all gather that Regina will be announcing her candidacy next week. I'm not sure what Paul...
Are you classifying her as the worst candidate? Or?
Well, I'm not suggesting that yet, but then I would strongly remind our Hong Kong fellows, Hong Kongers, that what Mrs. Ip has done over the past years. And of course, Carrie Lam as well. She's no way a lenient politician, and as Paul correctly suggested, she is also a hardliner, and she has earned the trust, not from the Hong Kong people, but from up the north.
Well, Chris Yeung, let me ask you, I mean, do we have something approaching a crisis of governance? I mean, we've had 3 chief executives, none of whom have managed to serve their full 2 terms.
Well, in a sense, yes. The CY Leung is a problem, but more the problem is Beijing's overall policy towards Hong Kong. So actually, now we always have 2 questions. One is whether they will change CY, and the other more important question is whether they will change the policy. We know the answer, the first one, but we don't know the second. And there's there are indications that they might just change the horse, but still implement the same policy.
Well,
now
is there any indication to the contrary? I mean, it seems every signal from Beijing is saying hardline policy.
Well, of course, the more likely possibility that the same policy will still be implemented, just by another horse, which is in better shape after all these years.
And carry less personal baggage.
Less baggage, yes. Yeah. I think up to a point now, I think Beijing have to admit that CY has become a liability. The likely scenario that is that I think if he say serve another term, you don't know what happened next July the 1st, and that's something I guess President Xi will come next year. There's something real that they have to say consider.
You're talking about for the anniversary celebrations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Paul Chan, let me ask you, because it does seem that one of the things about the pro-government camp was it was notoriously more united than the pro-democracy camp, but that isn't the case now, is it?
I don't know. I mean, this is something new to us, and obviously now that we are back to the race again, I hope we won't find the same thing that happened before between Henry Tang and CY. And chances are they might have two ladies running for the race, and only God knows what will happen among the camp.
But I'm talking not just in terms of the election race, which obviously is very important, but just generally. I mean, you had a distinct anti-CY faction within the pro-government camp. You had people who were much more hardline, other people saying, well, maybe that's too hardline. It just seems that there was or is, I should say, a lot of tension that didn't exist before.
Well, tension has always been there, to be frank, between whether the doves and the hawks. So this is in a relative sense, of course. But I suppose we're all hawks in the eyes of Alvin Young, but but yes, even though we may have a change in person, but the context between the two lines are still there between the two camps. So I would have thought the tension would still carry on for a bit.
And where does this leave the Democratic camp? I mean, the divisions there have actually been more long-standing and in some ways more divisive.
But I would say we don't have the pro-establishment camp. They have the benefit of having a chief whip behind them, who is located in Taiwan, and we don't have that.
Not in Beijing.
So I would say it's closer in Taiwan, and of course some listen to Beijing more than Taiwan. That's another story. The Democrats, we don't have that, so we are happy to understand, to agree to disagree. Oh, come on, Paul, that's nonsense. I mean, this is totally nonsense. Our web is from the people, so we agree to disagree. We are happy to have differences, but then in all major issues, we're united.
And Chris, can I ask you, I mean, where does this leave the general picture in Hong Kong? I mean, is Hong Kong, which has been very divided, particularly since the Occupy movement, does the departure of CY Leung possibly help to heal those divisions?
Short term, I think a feeling of relief, I think I would say to a lot of people. But still, if Beijing maintains the same policy on issues like that strategy towards the Democrats and all these things about, talk about, Hong Kong independence, localism, self-determination, the same elements of unrest will still, affect Hong Kong politics. Whoever, is in power next July the 1st will face more or less the same difficulty. But I would say still the situation will be better than, keeping CY for another 5 years.
Even
at least
if
in the short
Regina
term.
turns out to be the next chief executive?
She is more skillful, I would say, in dealing with critics and the less baggage, and so slightly better. But still, I think she has to carry central government's policy. So it will be difficult, and she could run into the same troubles as CY did in the last 4 years.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. That's been quite fascinating. And that's it for now. The pending departure of Mr. Leung has, if anything, made this weekend's election committee selection process that bit more interesting. Goodness only knows what will happen next week, but we will definitely be back covering it. Goodbye.
不會參加下一屆行政長官嘅選舉。中央對我工作呢一直以嚟呢係充分肯定同埋高度評價嘅，呢個大家係從中央領導人嘅講話當中呢，大家係可以睇到嘅。
I'm leaving the table.
你呃人。
I'm out of the game.
定當擁護中華人民共和國。
I don't know the people in your picture frame. If I ever loved you, oh,
你就係下一個去試人。
no, it's a crying shame if I ever loved you. If I knew your name, you don't need a lawyer. I'm not making a claim.
You always agree with your boss.
You don't need to
唔會
surrender.
回應呢4位人士嘅問題同埋意見。
I'm not
呢件事呢，我